is News Talk.
Hello there, you're very welcome along. We will have Pat Nevin on the weekend's football coming up at around 7:30 or so this evening. We will have Tim Vickery on the football show on the underappreciated genius of Sergio Aguero. He surpassed Thierry Henry's 175 Premier League goals. Still only 31 years of age, Sergio Aguero. We will talk to Tim about the boy wonder who's done good. Monday Night Rugby, we have Stuart Barnes joining us. He says John Cooney absolutely must start for Ireland. There are no two ways about it. We'll have Liam Toland as well, picking his Irish back row, as Munster come up short in Paris. Nathan Murphy as well will run us through what is actually a very, very healthy Irish representation at Premier League and Championship level this season. Nathan Murphy, hello.
How are you?
It is very healthy.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
When you look at the amount of underage players. I overestimated though. I thought I'd 17. It was only 16.
That's okay.
Ipswich were relegated. I was still counting Ipswich as a championship club.
I would have done too, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a common mistake, I'd imagine.
You know,
It's okay.
unfortunately they went to
nearly
League
20
One.
odd years they were in the championship, wasn't it? Yeah.
Richie McCormack, hello to you.
Joseph.
How are we doing?
Good.
So that is all on the way. We will be talking Munster with Stuart Barnes and Liam Toland. They came up just short. Lots of soul searching going on there. That stadium is just a ridiculous thing.
Oh, I really want to go.
Yeah, I think it's now
Did you see the...
on
I
the
don't know if
bucket
I like
list.
it. I don't know.
What's wrong with it?
I don't. It's the fact that it's like, hence the name, the U Arena. But the fact that there's no
End.
I never liked if there's one end that doesn't have anything. It just seems
Yeah.
It
odd.
does have something. It is the greatest big screen you've ever seen in your life.
Like no fans in that. You need fans. You need four sides.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to fake it and put some sort of a Ultra HD
Mural.
fake stand where they all celebrate together when something
Like
good
a
happens.
hyper real version of the early 90s Highbury mural that they had.
Exactly,
behind
yeah.
the clock.
Did you see the post-match scenes?
Where they turn it all dark and it turns into a disco.
And they invite everybody onto the pitch. And
Yeah,
there's a
that's
DJ
ideal.
at
That
a
is
bar.
ideal. That is ideal. And possibly another revenue stream
I
for
didn't
me.
realise that. Onto the pitch afterwards for a
Onto the
party.
pitch for a party.
Proper
for
hilly.
like 2-3 hours afterwards.
The traditionalists won't like this one bit. But there is something very appealing about rugby on artificial pitches. Obviously, your knees
Say
take
that to your
a tough time. I mean, I wouldn't like to play rugby on an artificial pitch, but it just lends itself to try scoring, to a
It's
fast
all about
game.
rugby league, isn't it?
Well, you know, maybe at times rugby union needs a touch of rugby league about it. The scrum situation in some of the games over the weekend was horrific. And the TMO, we had the Leinster game yesterday. Man, oh man. 2 hours we hit for this game. Everything just had to be, can we look at that again? Can we look at that again? Even we had James Downey and Keith Wood on commentary saying, well, that was a forward pass. 5 minutes later, TMO are still trying to figure it out. As for the TMO in France, someone ain't just giving him all the pictures there. We just need to check is Teddy Thomas offside, said Wayne Barnes. And we don't have that angle, said the French TV producer. Okay, can we check if Teddy Thomas grounded the ball? Yeah, no, this is the only angle we have, said the French TV producer. Which lends itself to a perception issue. Although I have been in the truck for Virgin Media when they've been the host broadcaster at games in Dublin.
Oh, do sometimes they not have the angle either?
No, well,
Of course they do.
Is it not?
Well, here's the just on that, because here's the thing. It does look as if the TMO is in some dark VAR type box on his own, whereas actually it's the case in Dublin when Virgin are doing it, so I presume this is the standard thing. He's in the TV production box with all the TV production staff in front of him. So certainly the ones in Dublin have, I would say, don't want to overestimate, but minimum like 15 screens, if not 20 TV screens, a wall of them, with all the different angles of different things coming in. So it would be very, very difficult to hide that from the TMO, because quite often, and I've been there when he's done it on Virgin, where he said, actually, give me camera number 2 there. Give that one to the referee. So he's actually very much a part of the TV production. So I know it's tempting to say that the French TV producer is not giving the angles, but he or she, the producer, would be doing very well on the 15 to 20 screens to hide it from the TMO.
Well, my question was, is it not much like the Champions League will be or European competitions will be, and has been in the case in the World Cup, whereby it's not the host broadcaster anymore who's in charge of this, but rather it's centrally produced, if you know what I mean. Like it's the same kind of camera angle, the same setup, etc., for every game.
Standardised.
Yes.
Doesn't seem to be yet.
That's odd.
You know, look, it is odd. I mean, if that had been a one-score game and there was a real suspicion Teddy Thomas was offside, if people in the stadium were saying it, war would have broken out today.
Like, it obviously didn't end up being a one-score game, but it was the pivotal score. And all right, all the momentum was coming racing, and you always felt they were going to finish the stronger. But
no, it's for such a big
just
competition,
don't
it's
know.
surprising. Well, you mentioned the stadium there, Nathan. At the end of it, it's like an episode of Dancing on Ice. Oh,
that is,
Worst
even for
segue
you,
ever.
Joe, the worst.
I mean, I
segue
was
you've
going
ever
for
done.
worst segue ever, and I think we managed it there. So, Kevin Kilban.
Clunkier than Kevin Kilban's dancing.
Oh,
Harsh.
again. Well, here we go. The judges, Anyone here have watched this program before through family or otherwise?
Yes.
Literally
I've
last
watched
night
it
was
for
my
years.
first time. Yeah.
My wife's a huge fan.
Okay.
So it went off, it came on first, I'd say, about 12, 13 years ago. And at that stage, for some reason, I used to end up watching it a lot. I think then it took a hiatus for 4 or 5 years and came back again.
Okay.
So she watches it pretty much religiously.
The judges being Ashley Banjo, John
Yeah.
Barrowman, Torval and Dean, of course. So Kevin Kilbane last night scored 18.5 out of 40. Now, I tried to watch this. I was at home in my folks' home, and we were having dinner, and I just couldn't justify giving up. It felt like this thing was on for 3 hours, by the way.
That's what happens at the start of these dancing competitions.
Oh, my God.
I've sat through some marathon Strictly.
Sorry, wait a second.
episodes.
So
Sorry, back up 1 second.
Go on.
You left work early yesterday at 6:20.
Yeah.
I assumed so you could actually watch Kilbane at home in peace.
No, it was to see family, As important as Kevin Kilbane is,
You bugger off for the end of the show.
Of course he did.
been in since like
Gets tired.
half eight
Joe.
papers.
In there.
Oh my God.
tired.
During the last hour, I read a lot in the morning.
Yeah.
It's so difficult on my voice.
We'll come back to that.
3 live commentaries.
So, I missed him. I've only seen...
I can't believe you didn't watch it.
I tried to. I was in and out routinely. And I saw it somewhere in it all. I missed it. I caught the very end where they showed about 30 seconds. And yeah. But then BBC Match of the Day 2 showed a bit of Kev's routine.
What, they got clearance for the rights, did they?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Mark Chapman said, here's the best header of Kev's career. It showed him heading the ball. Then it showed Kev and his partner, to which Mark Chapman said, great chemistry with these two, of course. Great chemistry. So, Richie, you've seen it.
Okay.
18.5 out of 40. Is that about right?
He got 3 4.5s and 1 5. I think Christopher Dean was the generous one on the panel.
And where did this leave him in the general mix?
No idea. I literally only saw his bit and then turned it off because I don't know any of the other people in it. Really.
I was travelling home by the time they got to the actual where everyone else was. But I think 18.5 was quite a good score because I was discussing it in advance with my wife and I was saying, I hope it doesn't go hard because we didn't know. We didn't know, and he performed brilliantly. Because
I'll be honest, I thought he was going to go over on his arse.
I didn't think I didn't think he'd go over on his arse, but I thought he'd look awkward. I thought he'd, as he sort of did the week before, when you could tell who the accomplished skaters were, who even doing the simple things, they didn't have to concentrate; they could just do it. Where it looked as though Kev was really having to concentrate.
Well, he's never looked at a skate before. Like,
No.
he's a total novice.
That's the thing that I couldn't get because he expected in the first week of competition he'd be doing like basics, like literally get around the rink a couple of times while holding her paw and see if he can do a little bit of a twirly thing with her. But he's actually like doing these transitions where he's
did 2
turning
lifts.
around and lifting and
2 lifts. He lifted her twice.
really advanced stuff, yeah.
And listen, we give him a bit of abuse about it, the chemistry. But I think that was a big advantage because
Fuego.
he just looked totally relaxed. He was a big smile on his face. There was no nerves at all.
I've never seen him as happy. Honestly,
He's
he
at
was
his happiest
smiling.
on the ice.
He was smiling the whole time.
Because they do. Now, I think they have changed. So years ago, right? This is going on again.
This is proper fandom.
Is this your
Right.
knowledge of the game? Is
There
it?
was, JP may remember his name. So they had a nasty judge who was an absolute asshole. I mean, of all these reality TV shows, this guy was properly nasty. To the extent where you'd like nearly switch off because he was just totally over the top in his criticism. So they got rid of him and they got John Barrowman. And I don't think John really has it in him to be...
Sorry, John Barrowman likened Kev's performance to the Tin Man on Wizard of Oz.
What?
He did, yeah. He said he was.
Oh, well, that's even compared to what the other guy would have once said. That's nothing.
Well, I didn't like
But
that.
he would have been giving 2 out of 10.
Jason
so I was a bit
Gardner
worried.
told it.
Jason Gardner, terrible man. He would have got...
He's a terrible man.
Was
he
Robin
would have got
Cousins ever involved in this?
2.5 out of 10.
Right.
But
So 18.5 is
18.5
perfectly
is good.
respectable. So he's made it through to next week.
he didn't even go in the dance off.
Yeah. So basically, it's combined with viewers' votes. That's how it works.
Is the format of this just completely robbed from Strictly?
Oh, yeah, I think.
Yeah, of course. It's strictly on ice. In fact, ridiculous. Like the whole thing. The whole thing is a joke. The very fact that the lad who's the favourite. So the lad who's the favourite, what's his name? Perry? Who used to be the little lad in diversity. He was
You
about
can't
12.
have a
He was
member
the
of
dancer.
diversity on the panel and one competing.
His diversity mate is one of the judges, and he's a professional dancer.
Conflict of interest.
Last year, the person who won Strictly was the person who won Dancing on Ice was a professional from Strictly.
Who?
He left Strictly some years earlier.
Oh, yeah.
But then went on
Yeah,
Dancing on Ice as a celebrity
Was
and
he
won
man
it. The
Jordan?
whole thing is a fix. I'm saying to Kev, you should bring this up live on air.
Well, you should. I mean, the man himself was on OTBAM this morning.
Oh,
He
yeah?
was speaking to his adoring public. Here's Kev talking to Owen and Jared this morning.
Just one more question I have to ask, Kev. I know OK Magazine have been prying over the last couple of weeks. Has she been to Achill yet?
No. Brown's not been to Achill yet. No. But
when is that big development going to happen?
Yeah. Well, that'll be probably in the next month or two, I'd say. Yeah, depends how long we go in the show for.
Right. I guess it's a positive. If you do get dumped out, there is the opportunity for an Irish holiday.
Yeah, thanks for that, Owen. Yeah, really good.
I'm just reading what I'm seeing in the magazines, Kev. And to be fair, seeing in the montages before your performance.
Oh, yeah, that's it there. I feel as though I'm being used a little bit now, Owen. Yeah, that's kind of how it is, you know.
Chemistry's important, right?
So they say, Jay. So they say. I don't know. It seems that way. Yeah, it seems that's what they're saying. Yeah.
You look as comfortable now as you did last night on the ice, I have to say.
Poor Kev. Mark Chapman made that same gag as well. The chemistry really good. And then he said, if you can't see me, there's a Carlo Ancelotti raised eyebrow right now, was what Mark Chapman said.
They had a lovely, nice little package beforehand. Showed him in his current situation before he went to the ice.
Oh, dear.
Holly and Philip making a load of jokes and quips about it.
Pat says, ice skating is like Formula One. It's only worth watching because of the sense, and I think in Pat's case he means here the hope of impending doom.
Oh, there's YouTube videos. When Kevin first told us he was doing it, we sat down and watched a YouTube video of the 10 worst injuries on Dancing on Ice. And it is horrific. It was a girl who was on Brookside, Jennifer Ellison, who she was able to put her leg right the way back behind her head, but obviously she had a skate on the end of it, and literally stuck the skate straight into the back of her head.
No.
Never mind the general broken legs, broken arms, you name it.
So this is a big success. He's through to week 2. No disasters. Good man.
Where'll it end?
Kevin comes
Found love along the way as well.
What a man. Speaking of unfinished stadiums, or stadiums with only 3 sides, one of my abiding memories watching Match of the Day back in the day is Stamford Bridge. It seemed like it was under construction for about 15 years, says Colin.
All the cars parked
That was before they even got going on the reconstruction of Stamford Bridge.
And they had the fake crowd as well. Highbury did as well.
Highbury did. Stamford Bridge didn't. They had like a stripy thing. I'm just thinking back to when they played Liverpool in the Cup in '96. There was one of the goals was boarded up.
You don't really see that too much these days for whatever.
They get it done. They get it done in the off-season, or they move games around.
Do what Liverpool did, which was they built the new stand around the old stand and then just joined the two of them up.
And they'll do that with Anfield Road as well, that's done.
Yeah, it's amazing what they can do these days. Speaking of, I know you were hotly anticipating Dermot Bannon last night. Do you want to give a quick verdict?
I feel I have no expertise in anything that happened in football over the weekend, but I spent a lot of time. My thoughts on Dermot Bannon, I don't think there's any way he did that for 530 grand.
No, his garden and his front went from, Dermot, this is going to cost you an extra 130 grand, to him getting his family around, clearing a few shrubs, and somehow, we're done, we're good. I couldn't work that out.
How many people, rough estimate,
here we go.
How many people do you think pulled up outside Dermot Bannon's house today?
For a look?
How often, right, when you're watching Room to Improve, when they go, because they're usually very vague about where it is. It's like, oh, there's 3-bedroom, blah, 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 in like, Ashtown. How many times do you go on Google Maps and
all
try
the
to find
time?
a house?
Well, sorry, I meant to do it last night, but I don't really know that part of Dublin.
Oh, I did it last week and I found it within 2 minutes.
Sorry, so where's the big church?
It's behind his house.
Well, what is... Clearly, I can tell that.
How did you know that, Richie? Was it because they referred to it 18 or 20 times?
A couple of aerial shots. You can do that with drones these days.
What is the big church called?
I don't know. Initially, at first I thought, is that Dooneycarney Church? But he's more in Drumcondra way.
It's Drumcondra. I found the name of it. It's off Griffith Avenue direction.
Right. Yeah. Well, I felt a bit sorry for his neighbour, who's all their light seems to have been completely blocked out. Because the light's coming from what looked to me like the west, was like diagonally across, and now that neighbour has gone from having a nice little bit of westerly light to just having Dermot Bannon's monstrosity.
And they've got these massive peaks for no reason, like obviously causing shadows into their garden too.
Do you think,
But I don't think in planning permission you have any right to light. I was asking this last night on the couch, like, can you object on the grounds of light? You can on privacy.
Is this stuff you've looked into?
No, but last night I was wondering, could you actually object on the grounds of light?
You can.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Because somebody in my old estate did it.
And did they win?
I can't remember. But I think they had objections to an extension and they were rightly, found because they were just taking the piss as regards what the light would have been in the neighbour's garden.
Oh, then maybe you can. I was told you can't, it's just privacy.
Do you think that perhaps Dermot Bannon, when he initially decided to get this extension, and as I think Patrick Frayne was pointing out in the Irish Times, there's no real idea as to whether or not his wife actually exists. The piece with the children was brilliant.
No, don't put it there. You can put it anywhere you want, but just put it right here.
Right there. Do you think that they decided to do this extension? that those initial conversations with Patricia happened, no cameras, and she's like, oh, this is going to be twice what you thought. And he's going, can't afford this. Tell you what, I have an idea. Hey, RTE, I want to do 2 shows.
No, a two-parter.
Yeah,
Two-parter. Definitely a two-parter.
Two-parter, and how many 100 grand? Yeah, let's do that. There we go.
Let's get things underway because somebody is wondering.
Do we have to?
Is this a sports show or a lifestyle show? Sort yourselves out as the texter with a fair point. Pat Nevin, with real expertise, is on the way very shortly. We should start with less savoury news. So James McLean is enduring, it seems, pretty much weekly abuse at this stage.
Yeah, it's constant. Anti-discrimination group Kick It Out today labelled the constant sectarian and anti-Irish abuse suffered by James McLean as unacceptable. The Republic of Ireland winger again suffered such abuse during Stoke's scoreless draw with Millwall at the Bet365 stadium on Saturday. Kick It Out have reported the incident to the FA, and they say greater action must be taken by the authorities in the game to safeguard McLean's safety and that on his family.
Yeah, grim. Alan Quinlan's been speaking about Munster.
Yeah, former Munster and Ireland star Alan Quinlan thinks Johan van Graan's side can't have too many complaints about how their campaign has gone in the Heineken Champions Cup. The Southern Province are likely out of the competition following a 39-22 defeat at Racing yesterday. It will be the first time they haven't progressed to the knockout stages in 4 years, should results not go their way next week. And Quinlan says Munster have certain areas in which improvements are needed.
People can question me and say, well, it's more the same of braveness and well done, patting on the back, and some will argue that that's not good enough. Munster should be. But like, Munster have no divine right to be a great team or just because of the past or whatever. So I'll always give credit where credit is due. And like you said at the start, the Paul O'Connell thing, well, for me, it's a given that you turn up in a Munster jersey and that there's passion, pride, effort level there, and it means something to you. So when they do that, I find it hard to be critical. Of course, we can pick holes in the tactical side and the quality and the natural brilliance that you want, that excitement, and that, like, we can't get away from the fact that they've scored 8 tries in 5 games. Montpellier have scored 7, who have thrown in the towel a long time ago. So essentially, Munster are 19th in the try-scoring chart. So that tells its own story.
Yeah. It's a fair enough point Alan Quinlan makes. It was a very honest effort, you would feel, from Munster right across the European campaign. And certainly yesterday they gave it a very decent shot. And with 65 minutes on the clock, they were 2 points up, although you felt they were absolutely wrecked and gassed. And Racing had a massive bench and very powerful bench to bring on as well. And when Munster broke, they really broke. Saracens away, not getting the bonus point. The missed drop goal against Racing. We could very easily be sitting here and saying Munster are through to the knockout stages again. And you throw in Joey Carberry's injury, and certain things went against them. We've Stuart Barnes on after 8 o'clock. We spoke to him a little earlier on, and he said, look, I'll put this very simply for you. They just don't have the class.
I was just going to say that.
It's just that simple.
It's not, when you mentioned effort, I don't think it was going to be effort in that group because it's a tough group, but the quality levels compared to the Saracens panel, compared to the Racing panel, just nowhere comparable.
Yeah.
If they have absolutely everybody, which unfortunately in rugby doesn't happen, then there is a squad there that probably, like last year, can get them a Champions Cup semi-final and put it up to teams. But you're talking about having Conor Murray as the world's best scrum half again, Joey Carberry fulfilling all that potential, and releasing a back line then of Farrell and Earls and Conway. But it never happens.
No. So they're bringing in reinforcements next year. We'll have to see what happens with Joey Carberry's injury profile. And Van Graan next year is under a bit of pressure. He certainly wasn't this year, and it was a tough year, but Munster need to show real signs of progression next year.
Is Stephen Larkin there as the Stuart Lancaster to Van Graan?
Well, he's there to get them scoring tries, which they haven't been doing for far too long now, for seasons. No, he's very much there to sort out the attack.
Do they need a Lancaster to Van Graan?
I guess Lancaster's doing something pretty similar, though, isn't he?
It just almost feels, though, that there's, as well as his actual on-field coaching role, that he brought just a different
Certain
aura
culture
to the place. And as you say, like, he talks brilliantly about the culture.
Yeah.
That Van Graan is clearly so methodical and so stats-based that maybe that side of it is something he struggles with.
Yeah, I wonder. We hear very little from the camp, is the thing. I don't know. I mean, anything you do hear seems to be that it's a very honest group and they're very determined and they're pulling together, but who knows?
What does that mean?
Yeah, well, everything looks a little bit suspect when you bow out and you lose. You know, everything Lancaster does and implements looks like gold at the moment.
There's a couple of Irish head coaches in that pool, and neither of them are at Munster.
Yeah. A few other quick stories. Dalymount.
Yeah, just over €918,000 has been allocated to exploratory work surrounding the redevelopment of Dalymount Park. It's part of nearly €5 million in grants given today to 7 major sports projects. As the Dalymount application was made by Dublin City Council, the funding was not subject to the freeze on FAI-related projects. The total cost of the Dalymount redevelopment is listed as €34.3 million. 38 applications in all were made, seeking a total of €17 million in funding, only which, as I mentioned, just 7 were successful.
It's good, at least it's going ahead. It was interesting, Stephen Kenny at the awards on Friday was saying there's just been a lack of investment in Irish football generally for years and years now. It's probably a fair point. A good Dalymount is good for Irish football.
A lack of planning and a lack of having the right people in the right places, I think, in Irish football contributes to that massively, because you look at where it did get the funding last week in the RDS and the sports ground, that they know how to approach politicians, they know how to leverage, whereas unfortunately Irish football hasn't thought like that. So hopefully that's one of the things that the expertise will be put in at League of Ireland level, that because grounds has to be top priority for the League of Ireland.
This Connacht and Munster and all that kind of thing of knowing how to play the game, they can spin those projects in terms of how they would build the local area. And I don't think there's a sense of football knowing how to do that properly.
Yeah, what it's going to contribute to the community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where Dalymount is, it could be incredible for that community.
100%.
Like, it's perfectly placed.
100%, and especially a regenerating community, and one that's a slightly more youthful profile as well. It's got a huge job to do.
So, meanwhile, over in Barcelona, Valverde's sacking is imminent, we're hearing.
36 minutes away, Joe. Ernesto Valverde is expected to be confirmed as no longer the head coach of Barcelona tonight. The La Liga champions had reportedly been in contact with both Xavi and Ronald Koeman about the job before even speaking with Valverde about his future. The 55-year-old has led Barca to the La Liga title in both of his full seasons in charge. But he's overseen some questionable results this season, namely defeats to Levante and Granada. Valverde took training this morning, and it was a session visited by former midfielder Andres Iniesta. The 2010 World Cup winner described the managerial soap opera at the Camp Nou this week as ugly. Former Real Betis head coach Quique Setien is the new favourite to replace Valverde. We're expecting an announcement on his departure at 8 p.m.
Lads, in planning permission terms, you have the right to light, but no right to a view. It looks like that rear garden, they were south-facing, so the neighbours wouldn't be too affected by the new extension. Oh, and because of the sports show, all out, it definitely is not south-facing. I was looking at that, I was pausing this at length last night to see was it south-facing kitchen. It wasn't, because it was in shadow a lot of it. It looked to me like it was northwest-facing, and so the only bit of sun in the evening was from as you were looking at it from the back garden, coming from the right. So the neighbour was on the left of Dermot's extension, so all the light was being blocked out.
I just have a major problem with the telly being that square to the back window.
Did you like the black back? That was a nice little trick you picked up from Australia.
That's a good
black background.
It's a good trick.
TV disappears.
But it's just the fact that it's square to the back window just means you're going to have an awful reflection in there most of the time.
I didn't like that whole section of the house, the TV and the fake fire.
Why?
Fake fire is a bit tacky if I'm being honest.
Also, if you're spending that much in the house, get yourself a big ass TV. You know, it just look like a bog standard. Now maybe he's a busy man. He's not sitting down watching 8 football matches a week. He doesn't need to consider these things.
Yeah, everyone's watching some TV. You need a nice TV, I suppose. If you're spending that much. The garden, very nice.
Fantastic, yeah.
Lovely bit of garden. That.
I mean,
would you go with a bath out the back garden?
No.
I would now.
I'd be tempted just to piss off the neighbours. They're looking at the
neighbours
back window.
will be pissed off seeing you in the
and there I am.
Tell you what, Dermot won't like this. Relative to the designs he does on Room to Improve, I thought his own house was quite pedestrian. Interestingly, that was the phrase
his mate kept using.
Which really bugged him. I thought his own house was quite pedestrian. It shows he's quite restrained when his design with design when it's his own house.
It had that weird boxy window at the front.
Yeah.
The weird kind of black one is just
not for you.
Different. No, it just looks weird.
I was really enjoying the chat about Room to Improve. Could maybe we get a News Talk goggle box going?
Well, as Kilban goes on in Dancing on Ice, that may have to happen.
We will have to live broadcast watching Dancing on Ice, won't we? Stamford Bridge had a temporary stand in the 90s, which was great, as we could get tickets. Once walked out after a match, and an Egypt Man United supporter next to us walked up to a police horse and punched it in the face. The horse barely flinched.
Sounds like a Scott Walker lyric.
The 20-stone Egypt tried to run away and got 5 yards. A Newcastle fan punched a horse in the face.
He did, yeah.
About 10 years ago now.
Steinweir Derby.
Yeah.
Incredibly grim.
It's funny how he's describing him as an Egypt. He just punched a horse in the face.
Yeah, it's not down to stupidity. No. It's something more...
He's a bit of an Egypt. I punched a horse in the face.
Something nastier than that. Like an Egypt wouldn't punch a horse in the face, whereas someone with a nasty little streak would. Actually, who would punch a horse in the face?
An Egypt.
So last story or two, Darren Randolph, is it?
Yeah, he's expected to become a West Ham player inside the next 48 hours. West Ham have confirmed that goalkeeper Łukasz Fabianski will miss the next 2 weeks with inflammation to a previous hip injury. Randolph's been unable to pass a medical to complete his move from Middlesbrough due to a lingering thigh injury. And just as an add-on to that, speaking of goalkeepers, Aston Villa in the past few minutes have confirmed the loan signing from AC Milan of former Liverpool stopper Pepe Reina.
This does seem like a strange move for Darren Randolph, unless he's been given some sort of assurances. Or, well, maybe it's simply that he's probably doubling his wage from 25 grand a week to 50 grand a week. But like Łukasz Fabianski is incredibly highly rated, it seems, at West Ham. And even though he's out for a couple of weeks and maybe Randolph gets a chance, even though he's his own injury, like, it's hard to see Randolph getting much game time.
Was he getting game time at Middlesbrough? Was he first choice?
Oh yeah, he's the first choice ever since he left West Ham because he wasn't getting game time to go to Middlesbrough. He's probably been the best keeper in the Championship.
That doesn't seem like a good move.
Well, maybe he's at a stage of his career. We're thinking of, clearly from Irish point of view, where we don't want him not playing for the next 2.5 months.
Indefinitely, yeah.
And even after that, because while there's good young players coming through, there's probably never been a greater gap between our number one keeper and our number two keeper, between what Darren Randolph's doing and what Mark Travers or Kieran O'Hara or Caoimhin Kelleher are doing.
Certainly in the short term, yeah. Actually, it was interesting. We asked Stephen Hunt yesterday of those three coming through, who is most likely to own the Irish jersey for the next 10 years. He went for Kieran O'Hara. I think almost by dint of the fact that O'Hara's playing more first-team football at the moment, but that's who he went for. Jeez, it's nice to have three.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
but I think we're talking about three 22, 21, 20-year-olds. There's nobody really, because Kieran Westwood, I'd be surprised if he ever plays for Ireland again. There's nobody else. There's nobody really in between, unless you go.
But they'll come good in about 18 months, 2 years, hopefully. They won't be ready to go in the next month.
They're at weird clubs though as well.
Yeah.
They kind of need moves themselves.
Is there any last must-do story, or is that a pretty much
Sure, let it loose.
Okay, we've got Stuart Barnes and Liam Toland after 8 o'clock. In the meantime, Pat and Evan next.
Off the ball on Newstalk.
Nissan is launching their brand new way to drive a brand new car. Nissan Subscribe and Drive is here. Simply choose the car you want, choose 2 or 3 years and pay a monthly subscription fee. No deposit, no fuss, no compromise. Nissan